All right, I'm calling my shot right now. Taylor Decker in Week 18 catches a touchdown pass.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody. A special Saturday edition of Locked On Lions. Was traveling yesterday, so here we are on a Saturday, January 3rd into Sunday, January 4th. Matt Dery with you. Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for being with us. Locked On Lions for today, brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Here we go. Lions and Bears tomorrow. Bears, according to our friends at FanDuel, a 3-point favorite. The Lions have decided they're playing. They're going for it. They're trying to win. We'll get into that. A lot at stake tomorrow. Even though this game means nothing for the Lions, we got retirement talk. We got revenge talk. We got a lot on the plate I want to get into. Dan Campbell mentioned the word change earlier this week. So did Kelvin Sheppard. We'll discuss. Also, we'll do a segment about John Morton. He wants to stay next year. No. And who are we rooting for here? Now that the Lions have been eliminated from the playoffs, as we move into the postseason next week, we got to talk about at the end of the show who Lions fans should be rooting for and against here in Detroit as we get ready for playoffs coming up right here on Locked On Lions. By the way, we've been doing the show for 10 years. You guys all know me and my almost 30 years here in Detroit. We bring you Lions content each and every day, and that will not stop. We're going to have a show on Sunday following the game. Don't forget our Lions Squad show is live with Jake and the crew. I'll be with you guys probably an hour and a half after the game tomorrow. And then Monday is going to be a big day. Black Monday around the NFL. Coordinators getting fired. Head coaches getting fired. People getting moved around. Will the Lions make moves? Stick with us next week. We'll have a lot on whatever the Lions end up doing in terms of changes that they are going to make. But let's start with tomorrow. The Lions are at the Bears at 4:25 on Fox. Chicago wants to win, so they are the 2 seed, and they host Green Bay in round 1. If they lose and the Eagles win, Philadelphia would be the 2 seed, and the Bears would have to play the Rams. With all the injuries that Green Bay has, and because the Bears, to be quite honest, have not played all that well against the Packers in their 2 meetings. I know they split and they kind of had a miracle the last time. I would think the Bears want this game tomorrow to cement that 2 seed, to make sure they're getting 2 home playoff games at least, and avoid the Rams. I think the Rams are really good. I don't think you want to face Matthew Stafford in the first round of the playoffs. Matthew Stafford's excellent. So, and that Rams offensive line and the way they run the football. With that being said, as we've talked about this week here on Locked On Lions, this team has decided, the Lions have, they're going to play. They're going into this game against Chicago despite the game meaning nothing, and sitting at 8-8, and no difference if they're 9-8 or 8-9. To be quite honest, draft position. Lions could get up as high as 13 if they lost, and they would have a 4th place schedule, last place schedule, so they could play the last place team in the AFC South like Tennessee next year and play Arizona next year instead of having to play, let's say, the Niners. All right, the schedule would be easier next year. Draft position, all of that, injuries. Last thing I want to see is Jared Goff get hurt in a game like this. It means nothing. Or Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Aiden Hutchinson or anybody like that. But you know what? I spent all last week talking about it. Screw it. Let's talk about beating the Bears. Let's go in. Let's fire up. Let's go into Chicago and sweep Benedict. That would be fun. Heck, the Lions can't beat anybody else in the division. Why not sweep Chicago? Little problem, though. Penei Sewell is going to miss his first game ever as a Lion. This guy's an absolute warrior. He plays every game, even with bumps and bruises and injuries. And now the Lions announced on Friday that due to an ankle injury, Sewell is going to sit this one out. Also missing this game for the Lions, Tristan Colon, Aleem McNeil, who's got an abdomen injury. Thomas Harper still in concussion protocol again. And linebacker and Gaines media poster boy, the flowing locks, it's going to be over. Alex Anzalone, concussion, and also some personal decision. He's got some personal issues and matters he's handling, apparently. But the Gaines media poster boy, as we've called him for 5 years here, is likely played his last game as a Detroit Lion. And he's out again, concussion and personal. Going to be very difficult for the Lions to beat the Bears, who are very good. Let's be honest here. Bears won the division. As much as it pains me to say, the Gary Bears are damn good. And it's going to be tough to sweep them, and it's going to be tough to win at Soldier Field in the cold weather tomorrow with your best player out. I mean, Penei Sewell's the Lions' best player. He is. Look at PFF. Look at around the league. Who's the best at their position on the Lions? Penei Sewell, without a doubt. You could argue Jahmyr Gibbs. You could say Amon-Ra St. Brown. Best player, the best right tackle in the game is our guy, and he's going to be out. So I would expect a Dan Skipper to get the start, and if anything happens to Skipper, I would expect Coyote Awashika to play. Also tomorrow, I'm of the belief that this is it for Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker. Would not surprise me in the least if these two both retire after this game. It has some feel of 2015 and 10 years ago, doesn't it? When Kelvin Johnson at Soldier Field walked off the field for the last time. Now, I'm not comparing Taylor Decker or Graham Glasgow with Kelvin, but there's some irony here that on the final week of the season, the Lions are playing at Soldier Field. All the guys want to play. They're all kind of rallying around Decker. Taylor Decker has hinted at retirement. And from what I've been reading and from some people I've talked to, there would not be a big surprise if the Lions left tackle from the last 10 years, 32-year-old Taylor Decker, who made a Pro Bowl last season, decides to hang him up. He has been a pillar for this team. He has done a very, very good job at left tackle. It's been a position the Lions have not had to worry about for 10 seasons. He's had his ups and downs. There have been some stretches where he struggled, but for the most part, man, Decker is as solid as they come. He's been a team captain. He's been a leader. You haven't had to worry about left tackle in 10 years. When they drafted a damn good tackle in Penei Sewell, they didn't even move him over there because Decker was so solid there, and they put Penei on the right side. So I think in this game, if the Lions get into a goal-to-go situation, I think they're going to make Decker eligible and try to get him the rock. Couldn't you see that? A Taylor Decker touchdown on his last game. You know Dan Campbell loves him. Just if you hear number 68 is eligible, watch out for it. And I'm sure the Bears will say, oh, 68's eligible, someone guard Taylor Decker. Man, that'd be awesome to throw him a touchdown pass. He was robbed of one, of course, a couple of years ago in Dallas. I think he's had another one before that, but I think this would be pretty cool in his last game for the Lions to attempt at least to get him the pill if it's first and goal from the 1 or 2, second and goal from the 2. And they run a little play action pass and Decker sneaks out. Those were the plays that Ben Johnson designed so well for many years here as the Lions offensive coordinator. As far as Graham Glasgow goes, he's a year older than Decker at 33. And I think there's a chance he retires too here as the Lions center. Another guy that has had 2 stints with the Lions, has been very, very solid. I think over the last 2 years, we've seen his play really diminish and his skill level diminish. But as popular a guy as there is in the room. And look, Frank Ragnow's gone. Jared Goff hinted this week that it's likely that it doesn't sound like Ragnow is going to come back next year and that he's going to stay retired despite his flirtation with it earlier in the year. And so you could have big changes on this offensive line next year. And really, they need to. They need a better offensive line. I don't want to see Taylor Decker go. I think Taylor Decker is he's signed for 2 more years. And if he comes back next year, and I have nothing cemented that it's the last game. I just think there's a good chance of it. The Lions have got to upgrade on that offensive line and get better. And they keep saying it themselves. Dan Campbell was asked the other day about what are you looking for this week and in the future? And he's like, O-line. He wants to see the O-line play improve. It's going to be hard to do that this week without Penei Sewell. And think about this. And Justin Rogers brought this up at Detroit Football Network. Please subscribe to DFN. Justin's great. I read it every day. The Lions had one game last year, one, where they were held under 100 yards rushing. They have 7 of those this year. 7. They have really, while the scoring offense is there and they're third in the league and they're scoring around 30 a game, they're not running the ball like they have in the past. And that has to be corrected. If they want to beat the Bears tomorrow, touchdown Bears, they're going to have to run the football and stop the run. And by the way, the Bears, they mash you. Swift and Monungai, they're a couple of beasts. The Bears run offense is really good, and they have 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen in Tooney and Dolman. So there's that. All right, Dan Campbell talked about change the other day. So did Kelvin Sheppard, but there was a difference in the narrative and the delivery. We will discuss that coming up next here on a Saturday Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions for today brought to you by Robinhood. No one knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends Advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All right, everybody. Matt Dery back with you, Locked On Lions. And hey, listen, thanks for making Locked On Lions your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our brand new Everydayer Club. All right, it's a lot of fun. Please join us. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Lions, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. And you're invited to our members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat that I'm on with you, the listeners, just for listeners of this show, and just for our everydayers, all right? And it's a lot of fun. Go to lockedonlions.supercast.com. That's lockedonlions.supercast.com, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Got to give a shout out to some of our everydayers that are out there. I ran into Paul Onan from Bath Township yesterday at Buc-ee's. Oh, Buc-ee's is the best in Richmond, Kentucky. If you haven't been to Buc-ee's, then you're missing out. But Paul came up to me, said hello, great guy. The Harbor Springs Insider, he knows who he is. He knows who he is. Happy New Year, HSI. A couple other everydayers, Tom Moriarty, Matt Soltisiak, Steven Sampson, Robert Mendieta, John Betcher, Brendan Shields, Kathy Prescator, Andrew Angus, and Jason Johnson. Thank you all for being everydayers and checking us out on our social media pages and everything else. We appreciate all of you. All right. So Friday press conference, Dan Campbell was asked about change. And he said, look, when you finish 8-8, or when you finish either 9 or 8 or 8 and 9, and you're in the situation where you're going home early and it's been a disappointing season, yeah, there's going to be change. Dan Campbell says change is inevitable. Question is, how drastic is it going to be? Campbell does not feel or does not know really. He was kind of evasive about it. But he said, yeah, when you don't reach a goal and you get knocked down a peg, you get back up, but you do make some changes. So I think Dan Campbell looks at this roster. I think he sees a lot of veteran players that could be on their way out. We talked about Decker and Glasgow. We talked about Anzalone. DJ Reader's on the last year of his deal. Amik Robertson's on the last year of his deal. Khalif Raymond's on the last year of his deal. You've had some guys that have started that have been on one-year deals, like Thomas Harper. Tristan Cologne's been a starter, one-year deal. Awashika's been a starter at times, one-year deal. So there's going to be some new faces next year. The Lions really did Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal's up. Avante Maddox is up. There's a lot. Lions have a lot of free agents. The one guy I would want to keep, my first pick of players to bring back, well, there's two. They've got to be on the defensive side, and that's Al-Qadim Muhammad and Amik Robertson. You know I'm a big Amik Slappy. I love him, and I want him to be back on the team. You've had cornerbacks that this general manager has drafted that have been injury prone, whether it's Terran Arnold or Ennis Rakestraw, and you can never have enough corners. And Amik battles his ass off, man. That guy is one tough SOB. Muhammad, too. I mean, I know he's 31. I know he's just peaking now and playing his best football now. But you look at the numbers. And while he's inconsistent against the run, and while he's not great against the run, he has 11 sacks. We complain and moan and bitch about the opposite edge of Aiden Hutchinson. For a guy on third downs and second and longs that I would want out there rushing the passer, yeah, Al-Qadim Muhammad. But he's 31 and a free agent with the Lions. Want to give him a couple of years. Notoriously, Brad Holmes has been a big one-year deal guy. So that's Dan Campbell's approach on change. What I found interesting, and I want to get the quote correct, from Kelvin Sheppard the other day on Thursday, the Lions defensive coordinator said that he doesn't expect, quote, drastic changes to be made to the defensive scheme next season, end quote. And he went on to say that, yes, while the Lions have been gashed recently, earlier in the year with the same scheme, they were making plays and had success. My biggest thing is, and I've said this on the show, and I said it the other day, I do not believe the Lions are going to make a change at defensive coordinator. And I get it. Brian Flores could be available. How the Vikings aren't re-signing him, I have no idea. Todd Bowles could get fired in Tampa and be a damn good D coordinator for somebody. There are others, all right, that could be available and could be excellent defensive coordinators. Jim Schwartz, if the Browns blow out their staff, and I know Jim Schwartz is not going to come back to Detroit, probably as a defensive coordinator after being a head coach here, but that's somebody that has that is respected highly around the league as a DC. Imagine if Jimmy Handshake was back here, that'd be sweet, but I don't think it's happening. I think Kelvin Sheppard is getting another chance. I think Dan Campbell alluded to it the other day that Shep has done a really good job in his mind. Now look, the last 5-6 games, it's been a disaster. The Lions have not been able to consistently rush the passer. They've not consistently stopped the run at all. They've gotten gouged in the run game. This past game against Minnesota, it really wasn't more about the defense. It was more about the offense. But Kelvin Sheppard is steadfast in not changing too much. And I think the biggest thing that the Lions should do to help Kelvin Sheppard out is, number one, they need better players. And they need better interior defensive linemen. They need Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch healthy. But I think a veteran defensive assistant, somebody like, and we've talked about this before, Dom Capers when he came in to help, or John Fox when they came in to help, and kind of be on the outside as a mentor for Kelvin Sheppard, that I could see happening. Now, as far as John Morton is concerned, yes, the Lions offensive coordinator, of course, has been basically banished on game days to not calling the plays, did speak with the media on Thursday, and give credit to Eamon Reynolds, Solomon Williams, Ellie, the whole crew there with the Lions media relations staff. They do a whale of a job, and they made John Morton available throughout the year, despite him being despite him being stripped of his duties and demoted. Some teams will just, their PR spin, no, we won't put those assistants in front of the media anymore. Screw it. Eamon, Solly, they do a great job. And they're like, hey, it's coordinator Thursday. He's still the coordinator. They made him available. And Morton said the other day that he wants to stay. And he loves it here. And this is home. And yes, he did grow up in Auburn Hills and all that. And he wants to remain on the staff. I'm not so sure. I think when you have that type of situation where a guy, and I know he's liked in the locker room, and I know Dan Campbell likes him and everything else, and they're friends, But if you're going to bring in a Brian Daboll and go out and get a really good offensive coordinator, and I think Daboll would be great. Do you want John Morton, the former OC, kind of hanging around as a assistant to the passing game or something, or pass game coordinator? I'm not so sure. I think we need a clean break there. And I think that's likely going to happen. All right. Coming up next, the playoffs will start next week. We'll have all the matchups tomorrow night. Likely right after that Ravens-Steelers game ends, Mike Tirico will read off all the matchups and tell you who's playing on Saturday and tell you who's playing on Sunday and even the Monday night first round game. Who do we root for? I'll tell you, we're rooting against. That's easy. We'll do that next. All right, Locked On Lions for this special Saturday edition is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Hey, we know this during the NBA season. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with something called NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Just open the FanDuel app during the happy hour, and you always get something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. Plus, the Pistons are playing great. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. Man, I love watching the Pistons beat the Lakers the other night. LeBron, that was fun. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's some sweet action, as Cosmo Kramer once said. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. One more shout out to one of our everydayers, the great Michael K. Cook, the Mike and Meg program, AM 800, CKLW, the big one, the large one, the giant up there in Windsor. I'll be on with them on Monday morning to recap Lions and Bears as well. Got to give a shout out to Mike. He watches the show daily. And of course, his broadcast partner, Meg Roberts, and of course, the great Paul McDonald, the number one newsman in North America. Don't get fooled. Don't get fooled just because he's in Windsor. Paul McDonald is the number one newsman in North America, period, and in bold print. He is. All right. I'll put him up against anybody. All right. Lions and Bears, touchdown Bears tomorrow. Chicago, 3-point favorites on FanDuel. Just a 3-point favorite? Bears want to win this game. You think Ben Johnson wants to get swept by his mentor? No way. And watch out, as I said this on Thursday with Lauren Cox on the crossover, watch out for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, that hot-headed wacko, Bears safety / corner, who is now on Chicago. We remember him in Detroit. He was a handful. And when he left, said it was a hell. He's meantime bounced around about 15 different teams since then. Eagles wanted nothing to do with him. Texans wanted nothing to do with him. Bears got him. Watch out for a CJGJ cheap shot tomorrow. Just keep your head on a swivel if you're a Lion. All right. So as the playoff picture right now looks like this. Just right now. Niners 1, Bears 2, Eagles 3, Panthers 4, Seahawks 5, Rams 6, Packers 7. Still got to play these games this weekend, of course. Then you've got Broncos 1 in the AFC, New England 2, Jacksonville 3, Baltimore 4 at the moment. It's either be Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Houston 5, Buffalo 6, Chargers 7. Chargers are resting their starters tomorrow. A rare resting move from Jim Harbaugh. Who are we rooting for? Like, now that the Lions are out of the playoffs, and it's now going to be just this first time in 3 years that we're not going to have playoff football here in Detroit. Who are we rooting for? Who's our adopted team? I remember when I moved here in 96 and everybody used to tell me about their team B. Oh, I like the Lions, but I have a B team. because the Lions have been so bad. So I like the Niners too, or I like the Chargers, or I like the Seahawks, or my team B is Cleveland because it's close by, whatever. That's no more because the Lions have been so good the last few years. With that being said, I like watching the Niners play. I could root for this San Francisco team. Aren't they fun to watch? I don't know. I'm rooting against the Bears. I can tell you first and foremost, I want the Bears out. If the Bears play the Packers in the first round, I'm rooting hard for Peter Bukowski's go Pack go. I am. I want the Bears gone. I'm tired of the Bears. I've had it with the Bears. I'm tired of good, better, best. I'm tired of Ben Johnson. Could you imagine being the Bears team president, Kevin Warren, who's just a buffoon, and literally can't get a deal done with the city of Chicago, can't get a deal done with the city of Arlington Heights to move them up to the suburbs, and now is talking about moving the Bears to Gary, Indiana, and building a stadium there? How embarrassing is that? You've got Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, you're rolling. How can you not get a stadium deal done by now? It's January 3rd, man. But again, ask people at the Lions and people at the Big Ten about Kevin Warren. But football side, they're killing it. I can't root for the Eagles. Carolina's fun. I could adopt the Panthers if they win that division. I hope they do. What a job that that Bryce Young and that team has done this year. Dave Canales, come on. I'll adopt the Panthers. Seattle, I know they have former Michigan defensive coordinator Mike McDonald as their coach, but Rams, are we going to get back on the Stafford bandwagon? That's an old bit. That really is. But I could see Lions fans that say I'm going to root for the Rams, but I'm kind of all rammed out. Packers, I'll root for them to beat the Bears, but I can't root for them after that. AFC, Denver, I can't stand Sean Payton. I can't do that. New England, tired of them, even though I have a ton of respect for Mike Vrabel. Jacksonville, that'd be interesting. Although their fans don't care. Do they really have fans down there? Ravens, no. Steelers, no. Texans could be interesting. Houston's fun. I like D'Amico Ryans. Their defense is ferocious. Buffalo, man, how do you not get behind Josh Allen? And those Bills fans have been dying to finally win one. Chargers, for all the Harbaugh slappies out there in the Michigan stands, I get it. You love your savior, your Lord and Savior, Jim Harbaugh, but I don't know. Their uniforms are great, and I like Justin Herbert a lot. I could kind of root for the Chargers. I think I'm going with against the Bears, and I'm going to pick Carolina, my Panthers. Now they got to beat the Bucs first on Saturday, and then they also, if the Falcons win Sunday, the Panthers would still get in. Oh, there it is. My phone rings. The Harbor Springs Insider said that the show isn't the show unless my cell phone goes off during the show, and it just did. All right, we're with you. We are with you tomorrow following the game for Lions Bears. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. Thanks for making us your first listen right here, Locked On Lions.